Over the past few months, the fundamentals around XRP have exploded in strength. We've seen talk about exchange-rated funds, major acquisitions by Ripple, institutional partnerships quietly being revealed, and leaks suggesting that the biggest financial players in the world are getting closer to XRP than ever before. On paper, it looks like a perfect storm for a huge breakout. And yet, when you look at the price chart, it's like watching paint dry. Nothing seems to happen. No matter how big the news, the price barely moves. And that leaves people asking the same question over and over again. Why? Why doesn't all this good news do anything for XRP's price? It's one of the most common and most frustrating questions in the XRP community, and I understand it completely. You see headlines that sound like game changers, and you expect the market to react. But when it doesn't, it feels strange, maybe even discouraging. But today, I want to break down exactly why that happens. And by the end of this video, I think you'll understand that this silence, the lack of movement, might actually be one of the strongest signs of what's coming next. Before I dive in, I just want to say a quick thank you to everyone who supports this channel, Journey to XRP. You guys liking, sharing, and subscribing means the world. It helps me keep doing what I love, digging into these stories, and connecting the dots behind the scenes. And if you're looking for a reliable place to buy XRP, check out my link to Uphold in the description below. It's the platform I personally use and trust. Now, let's talk about the mystery that has every XRP holder scratching their head. When you see news about Ripple buying billion-dollar companies or rumors about partnerships with massive financial institutions, it feels like we're on the edge of something huge. But then you check the price and it's flat. Maybe a small spike, maybe even a small dip. It makes no sense, right? But the reason behind it isn't what most people think. The truth is there's a massive difference between news that excites us and news that moves markets. To really understand why these big announcements don't always push the price up, you first have to understand who's actually in the market right now. Because most of the world still isn't here yet. The people who move global finance, the asset managers, the banks, the sovereign funds are still standing on the sidelines. They control trillions, but they haven't fully entered crypto yet. Why? Because they're waiting for something most of us don't think about. Regulation, safety, and proof. There's a saying I heard once that perfectly explains how these big players think. Institutions would rather buy Bitcoin at $1 million than at 30,000. It sounds crazy to us, but to them it makes perfect sense. They don't care about buying cheap, they care about buying safe. They'd rather pay more for certainty than risk everything for an early entry, and this same logic applies to XRP. Big firms won't jump in until the rules are clear, the custody solutions are solid, and the risks are low. They're not trying to be early, they're trying to be sure. That's why Ripple's current moves don't cause an instant reaction in the market. The people they're building for aren't even buying yet. Ripple's new partnerships, acquisitions, and expansions are preparing the battlefield for institutional money, not retail traders. When Ripple acquired G Treasury for over $1 billion, they weren't trying to make the chart move. They were quietly building infrastructure, tools, and systems that the biggest corporations in the world will use. G Treasury handles daily cash and liquidity for Fortune 500 companies. That means billions of dollars flow through its systems every single day. And now Ripple owns that bridge. They've connected XRP directly to the plumbing of corporate finance. But here's the thing. The average retail trader doesn't even know what that means. Most people in crypto don't care about treasury systems or liquidity management. They care about memes, trends, and tokens that double overnight. So when they see Ripple buys G Treasury, it doesn't trigger an emotional reaction. It doesn't create that sudden wave of buyers. And that's the key. Prices only move when emotions move. Every market is driven by one simple rule. More buyers than sellers equals higher prices. It's basic supply and demand. But the announcements Ripple makes right now don't bring in new buyers yet. They're seeds being planted for a future where institutional investors finally feel safe enough to join. Until that future arrives, the price stays calm, even when the fundamentals are screaming that something big is coming. This is the hardest part of being early. You see, What's being built, but the market doesn't care yet. We're watching the future take shape before our eyes, but the world isn't paying attention. That's what creates frustration, but it's also what creates opportunity, because when everyone else finally sees what's happening, it'll already be too late to be early. Let's go a little deeper. Why do some pieces of news make prices move instantly while others don't? The answer is emotional simplicity. When the SEC lawsuit against Ripple ended, the whole world understood what that meant. Not a security equals good for XRP, simple. When a politician like Trump says he's pro-crypto, that's also simple. People get excited and buy. But when Ripple buys a treasury company or launches a liquidity hub, most retail traders have no idea what that means. It's too complex. They can't connect the dots between a corporate finance acquisition and future XRP utility. And that's where the disconnect happens. The biggest, most meaningful moves for XRP are also the hardest ones for the average investor to understand. Ripple's game is long-term and technical. They're playing on a scale that's beyond what most crypto influencers even talk about. That's why so many people miss it. It's like watching a skyscraper being built. You don't notice the progress until the walls start rising, but by the time you notice, the foundation has already been finished and the hardest work is done underground. That's where Ripple is right now. They're laying the foundation while everyone else is looking for fireworks. And the irony is the fireworks come last. The foundation always comes first. Most of the crypto market today is run by emotions, not fundamentals. People buy whatever coin trends on Twitter. They chase FOMO. They panic on dips, and they ignore anything that takes effort to understand. So when real developments happen, things that require thinking, patience, or research, they go unnoticed. But that's not a bad thing. That's exactly what gives the early believers their edge. The truth is, XRP's biggest opportunity comes from the fact that most people still don't get it. Ripple's building in silence while the world sleeps. They're not tweeting memes. They're meeting central banks. They're not making hype videos. They're signing contracts. They're not launching 1,000 coins. They're connecting real-world money flows. That's why the price looks so calm, because the groundwork isn't being built for traders. It's being built for the world that moves trillions. And one day, when those institutions finally step in, everything changes. The price won't move because of hype. It'll move because of demand. Institutional demand isn't emotional. It's massive, calculated, and permanent. When those players decide XRP is safe, they won't buy thousands of tokens. They'll buy billions. That's when the real revaluation begins. But by then, the easy phase, the accumulation phase, will be over. And that's what we're living through right now. The quiet accumulation phase. It's boring, it's slow, it tests your patience, but it's also where conviction pays off. These months of silence, the long stretches where nothing happens. These are the moments that separate investors from speculators. Every great financial revolution goes through this phase. The early believers look crazy until they don't. Amazon traded sideways for years before changing the internet. Bitcoin was a joke until it wasn't. Tesla was a meme until it changed transportation. Every time the story is the same: doubt, disbelief, silence, and then suddenly validation. XRP is following that exact same pattern. So when people say XRP is dead, I smile because I've seen this before. Dead is what every future giant looks like before it wakes up. The truth is, Ripple isn't chasing a quick win. They're building an empire. They're rebuilding how global money moves slowly, legally, and permanently. Now, let's talk about timing, because that's what everyone really wants to know. When will all this translate into price? Nobody knows the exact day or month, but we can see the path clearly now. Regulation is coming, custody solutions are coming, ETFs are being discussed, governments and banks are no longer ignoring crypto, they're preparing for it. And every time a new rule or product appears, XRP gets one step closer to being the bridge asset for the world's liquidity. When that happens, the revaluation won't be gradual, it will be fast and violent. All the suppressed value, all the years of quiet building will explode into the open market. Because money moves fast once it's allowed to move. The same people who mocked XRP will chase it. The same institutions that waited for clarity will finally act. And that's when prices won't crawl. They'll sprint. Until then, our job is to stay calm, because what's happening right now is historic. We're watching the financial system being rewritten in real time. We're watching a digital asset go from misunderstood to indispensable. Ripple's building the rails that the next century of money will run on. And we're early enough to see it before it becomes obvious. That's what Journey to XRP is all about. Seeing what others can't see yet. Understanding that progress doesn't always look like movement. Sometimes it looks like patience. Sometimes it looks like silence. But make no mistake, the silence doesn't mean nothing is happening. It means everything is happening, just quietly. If you feel frustrated watching the price stay still, remind yourself this is what being early feels like. It's not exciting. It's not easy. It's full of waiting and doubt. But when the waiting ends, it ends big. Because history always rewards patience when it's paired with conviction. One day soon, something will click. Maybe it'll be a global regulation announcement. Maybe it'll be an institutional ETF approval. Maybe it'll be a major bank officially using XRP for cross-border liquidity. Whatever it is, that spark will set everything in motion. The awareness will spread, demand will flood in, and XRP's true value will finally be seen. And when that day comes, people will look back at these months of boredom and say, that was the moment. It was obvious, but I didn't see it. But you did. You were here. You were early. You understood. So don't mistake stillness for weakness. Don't confuse silence with failure. XRP isn't sleeping. It's preparing. Every acquisition, every partnership, every piece of clarity is a brick and a wall that will one day hold the global liquidity network together. The world will realize it soon enough, and when it does, they'll call it sudden. But you'll know it wasn't sudden at all. It was years of patience finally paying off. So stay grounded, stay patient, keep learning, because being early isn't about guessing the price. It's about understanding the process. Ripple's building something that will outlast trends, and XRP is the heartbeat of that system. The price will catch up, but only after the world catches on. Until then, this is the time to think, to learn, to understand. Because one day, when XRP becomes the backbone of global payments, people will look back and say, I wish I was there when it was quiet. And that's exactly where we are right now in the quiet before the storm. This is Journey to XRP. Stay focused, stay informed, and never forget what's really happening behind the scenes. The market might look asleep, but the foundations are shaking. The system is changing. And when it all comes together, XRP won't just move. It'll rewrite what's possible. We're not waiting for a miracle. We're witnessing a process. And when that process reaches its breaking point, everything we've talked about, everything we've believed in will suddenly make sense. Until then, remember, patience isn't weakness, it's preparation. The world is catching up one headline at a time. And when it finally does, we'll already be there, waiting, ready, and proud that we saw it before everyone else. This is not the end of XRP's story. It's the beginning of its realization. So keep your head up, keep your conviction strong, and never forget. Being early always feels wrong until the moment it's right. And when that moment comes, it changes everything. This is Journey to XRP, and the journey is just getting started.